Hello and welcome to AVOXI's first webinar of 2025. My name is Mike Kaplan. I am the Chief Marketing Officer at AVOXI and I'll be your host today. When we think about the past year in the enterprise communications space, one theme we saw was many companies more aggressively taking advantage of opportunities to drive their strategies and technology solutions forward. And with that as a backdrop, I'm excited to be joined by and really learn from an interesting company today that exemplifies that. So today's guest is Oluwaseun Olatunde from Flutterwave. Welcome, Oluwasun.
Hi, Mike. Nice to be here. Nice to have you.
Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We know you're busy, so thank you. Can you just tell us a little bit about Flutterwave and what Flutterwave does for those that aren't familiar and your role at the company?
Flutterwave is a payment technology company. We're headquartered in San Francisco, California. It's an organization built on the goal of empowering African businesses within and outside the continent to take and make payments, right, easily within and outside the continent, right? If there's something my CEO has said for the longest time, we've always been around. He says for the longest time that payments in Africa is fractured, right? And that is one of the problems Flutterwave has come to solve, right? And we are a payment company, basically processing payments in multiple countries across the African continent. I can tell you for free, we have about 30 plus payment licenses in Africa, and we support great brands and global brands like Uber, local brands like Airpace, the biggest airline in Nigeria, and all the other across the African continent, right? So that's what majorly Flutterwave does. In terms of what I do, I lead the quality assurance and training team within the CX team here at Flutterwave. In essence, what I do basically is driving quality at scale within the CX team here at Flutterwave. Basically, what it means, in essence, is that as Flutterwave scales and grows, right, the CX team also grows, right? But we don't want to do that at the expense of quality, right? So we're making sure that we are driving that consistently so that the level of support we provide as we grow as an organization, as a company, as a team, also is always consistent. And, I'm also an enabler of operational excellence within the team. So that's just a brief into what Flutterwave, the organization Flutterwave is and what I do within the organization as well.
Really appreciate that. The financial technology space and next generation payments, I know is very much a growing market, and Flutterwave certainly is no exception to that, experiencing a lot of change and growth over the past few years. Can you just tell us a little bit about that journey and what's driven the success?
In terms of the journey, so Flutterwave as an organization was, as an origin, founded in 2016, right? And it started out, with major focus on enterprise, businesses, right? But as time went on, it also brought in, small and medium businesses into the fore, right? And I think around 2020. And also now moved into the retail space, with the introduction of the remittance product in 2021. So it has been an organization that has moved from, very humble beginnings and has grown, as the market segment also has grown as well, right? In terms of its scale and reach from those humble beginnings, I'll tell you for free that it's the only payment company at scale in Africa with presence in over 34 countries, right? So we've covered about 60% of the continent. We've processed about over 300 and 630 million plus transactions, with transaction worth about $31 billion. In terms of what drives our growth, right? We believe that Africans should also be part of the global economy, right? And I think that's one of the biggest challenges. We've always been just within ourselves doing our things, but we also want to be players in the global economy. And that's one of the things that afford our growth. And key to that is ensuring that we build a trusted payment platform infrastructure that ensures seamless and borderless payments, for consumers and businesses. So that's one of the key things that, really, really forward our growth on the continent and beyond.
Wow, that's a really great vision, certainly very global in nature. So Thank you for sharing that. Talk to me a little bit about customer experience overall, how that has evolved.
Yeah, it's been an interesting one, right? It's been an interesting one, but looking at where we started out. So I mentioned earlier that we started out as enterprise, enterprise focused, SMB, then retail, right? What that basically means is that our customer experience strategy was more B2B, sitting on the B2B model. And what that basically means is that, it's more focused on account managers, technical account managers, what have you. And the kind of support that is offered in that will be more personalized and tailored experiences. The kind of engagements you would have are more meetings, virtual meetings, physical meetings, or emails and interactions and all that, right? But as we, began to, bring in other, business segments, like SMB, we move into the retail space as well, right? Then the contact center model needed to, also had to come into the play because we are dealing with, with more consumers, right? And that was one of the things that shifted our evolution around across the line over the years. Initially, we were more reliant, like I said, on emails, virtual meetings, physical meetings. Right now, we needed to also evolve to having email, voice, social media, chats, right? To be involved in all that, and that's how the evolution of it, because we couldn't have been able to start meeting all those customers, retail customers, physically and what have you. What also that also meant to us as a business is also what we used to measure success also pretty much changed, right? In the B2B model, you probably want to measure NPS, retention rate, churn rate, and all that, right? But now you are doing much more and you are engaging SMBs and in retail consumers. You want to start looking at your response time, your resolution time, your CSAT, and what have you. So that's how our the CX strategy within Flutterwave has changed over time. I think a very, very key area I needed to also actually include is also that the fact that it also moved to more of proactive CX. So within Flutterwave and within the CX team, right, we are big on listening to customers and using that as a driver to be able to to drive to get insight which you can use to now be more proactive in in doing things for our customers and supporting them, and also using that to build our products and services. And if you look at all the products we've built right over the last couple of years, have all been products that are based on what we how we've been able to listen to our customers over time.
That's really great. That's certainly a lot of change in terms of what you're managing, the amount
Yes.
of segments, and trying to align those channels and metrics effectively. So I'm excited to sort of dive into each of those. Speaking of one of those channels being voice, can you talk a little bit more about how you deploy voice within your customer experience strategy?
The voice channel, I'll call it, right, within our strategy is how we use it is very, very simple, right? Number one is we use it for inbound support, right? And to ensure that for every time a customer wants to actually speak to human, to someone, right, they are able to reach that person. Right? I think in this part of the world, to some extent, right, Africans are big on, I want to talk to somebody. Because of the trust deficits that could also, that we have, somewhere, somehow, right? So they want to speak to someone. And it has been a key channel for us to be able to ensure that that trust is there, right? The fact that you can call into a number, you can hear, welcome, thank you for calling Flutterwave, and, and that whole, journey gets you to an agent to speak to, gives you some level of trust, right? So we use that for inbound support, helping customer. And while using that for inbound support, we also built a very robust IVR, leverage on features available to ensure that for every time the customer reaches out to us, they are able to be, directed to the right agent who speaks the right language. They will speak the right language to them, also has the right skills and knowledge to be able to help them, right? So that's key for us. Another way we deploy voice within our strategy, our CX strategy, is for outbound campaigns, right? We want to make sure that the CX team is not just the cost center, but also revenue generating center. So we want to use deploy voice to also to upsell, cross sell, for account reactivation, understand why certain consumers are no longer using our products, right? And so where we can find ways to help them to get them back and get them reactivated so that they can now start start using our product and and basically bring revenue into the organization, right? And lastly, another way we have deployed voice, I think for one, is through omnichannel integration. And what do I mean here, right? We don't want, and we want a voice to also be a way for our customers to be able to have some level of integration whenever they reach out to us via email, chat, and voice. We want to ensure that we have a system whereby we can actually see all our various channels all into one, right? And that's what we've been able to achieve with the voice channel, having been integrated into our CRM system so that we can all understand what the customer journey, support journey, basically, whenever they get across to us.
That's a great overview. So, AVOXI and Flutterwave have been partnering for a couple of years now, and supporting some of that voice solution. What were some of the drivers, when you think about all of the things you just listed and the connection with AVOXI, and why'd you select AVOXI to support your voice infrastructure?
Yeah, interesting to know that I actually never heard of AVOXI before, right? Up until when the recommendation was actually brought to us, right, to have a conversation with your team. Interesting enough, I think one of the major drivers that helped us to determine that this was what we were going with. One was a recommendation around service reliability. I think one of the challenges we've had in the time past is the fact that we wanted a solution that had minimal downtimes. We didn't want a solution where on certain days we get messages or prompt that, oh, you can't log in because there's a downtime somewhere. So we wanted something that had minimal downtime, where there was always seamless communication between ourselves and our customers, our support teams and our customers. Then I think secondly, which is also very vital, with something I mentioned just earlier, which is omnichannel capabilities. We want our customers to be able to know and to be able to see our customers from one view, right? Regardless of the channel which they contact us from, right? We want our agents to be able to support our customers effectively, that regardless of which channel they come in, we are able to have history and context to what they have actually brought to us, with the issues they've had, right? And omnichannel capabilities was something, AVOXI had and, worked, very seamlessly for us. And I think thirdly, which is also very, very important, right, is the ability to have local numbers across various regions. So I mentioned something earlier is that Flutterwave is in different regions, different countries around Africa, right? One of the regulatory requirements in those various countries is the fact that you have to have a number, right? And because we always needed to have that, right, AVOXI is able to provide those numbers in those regions, and we are able to use those numbers, to be able to offer support. Prior to now, what we've basically done was have physical phones in those offices to provide support, for that purpose. But now we have a situation whereby we have that all-in-one, all-in-one solution where all the numbers across our various markets, right, are into one solution, and we can provide, the right support for various, businesses in those various regions part time, right? It also offers us, flexibility in terms of, manpower planning and all that, right? So those were the three major things for us, right? Service reliability, omnichannel capabilities, and ability to have local numbers, across various regions.
That's great. Can you talk a little bit more about, with those reasons, some of the business benefits you've experienced, and maybe just a little bit about what's been different from your perspective between more of a cloud-based voice service versus relative to legacy, what you had before?
In terms of benefits, yeah, and I'll delve a bit deep into that to give you more details, right? The ability for you to, so talking about local numbers across regions, right? What that basically gives me one benefit is I'm able to monitor centralized monitoring of all those numbers, right? All those numbers across those various regions, right? If I'm able to monitor those numbers effectively, I'm able to know what is the number of businesses and merchants that are reaching out to us in Ghana, for instance, or in Kenya, right? I'm able to make judgment calls around what do they need, what kind of support they require in this particular region, so that we can be able to plan our manpower accordingly. Another thing that also matters a lot to us and benefit we've also enjoyed is centralized monitoring, right? Now we are able to monitor all in one space, similar, which is different from what challenge we had prior when we had just physical lines in the office. Then one very, very important one, ease of setup and usage, right? AVOXI as a tool I've seen over time is very easy to set up, right? I want to get a number in a particular region, I create an order, I get it, I get that, that number within a number of days or weeks, and I'm up and running, and I set up my IVR and I'm good to go, right? So ease of, setup and usage. If I feel that I want to do away with that number, I can do that, and do all that. So a whole lot of things around ease of usage and setup, setting up new users, basic administration, platform administration has been very, very good for us and made life a little bit easier in getting our team set up and ready to work. In terms of how using an AVOXI, which is more of a cloud-based telephone solution compared to a legacy telecom communication, I think key number one is scalability. Your ability to be able to scale up and scale down when required, right? I know there was a time when, I think a couple of months ago, where we felt that we were using too many licenses. We had too many licenses that we're not using, right? All we just needed to do was request that those licenses be taken out, and it brought down our cost, right? So we're able to scale down quite quickly to reduce our cost in that line. Like I mentioned earlier, one key area also is ease of access. You can easily access, all you need is just an internet access and a virtual private network connection as well to have access to quickly anywhere you are. Then I also believe things around analytics integration. You are able to monitor your data quite quickly, instantly. An agent just got off a call with a customer. You're able to check what that call, or what happened on that call, what happened. I'm able to see the number of abandoned calls per time, right, as quickly as possible, so I can quickly react, right? Those are also very, very key benefits, which are key differences which I've seen between the cloud-based platform and the legacy telecom solution. And lastly, the omnichannel capabilities, right? That's, I keep mentioning over and over again. It is key because that's the direction of that's the direction CX has been for the longest time, and anything that puts you in that line is always something I'm in for 100%.
Thanks. Yeah, you mentioned something your CEO said at the top of the call. It was one thing that you just said as you were talking, that thought of something our CEO talks a lot about, is that getting to the cloud is really just step zero, right? So you get some of the benefits of the cloud, faster provisioning, scaling up and down, but it sounds like you've really taken that then to the next level, those additional steps with the, using the analytics and the data actually drive decisions, drive your go-to-market, the monitoring to get more proactive and loop into, that notion of proactive CX.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. You've talked about the other channels, right? That you have this omni-channel approach, and it's very important to connect voice to those channels, and have a seamless experience for your customers, and you have full context for your agents and teams around all those interactions. Diving into those channels, specifically email, you mentioned chat. When do you try to drive customers to those as sort of the first point of the transaction?
So I think the strategy there is very, very simple, right? So you're looking first of all at the business model, looking at the major business model which we currently currently sit on within for B2B and B2C, right? We want to understand that typically the B2B cost businesses will typically want to do email, right? That's always because they're organizations and they need to keep organized, right? They'll oftentimes do they'll probably sometimes do voice, right? But often, most of the time they will always do email. I think where you begin to see, more of driving, people is within the retail consumer space, right? That's where you get to see them. And I think the driver for us when it comes to what drives us, pretty much when it comes to that space, right, is convenience and preferences of our consumers, right? We want to make sure that we meet them where they want us to meet them, and that is key for them. Right now, we'll say there's a particular channel which is preferred over the other. We'll say that there is a particular channel that is preferred over the other, right? But key to this is that, one, I mentioned something earlier about Africans typically just want to speak to someone, right? So that they, that's also because of the trust deficits and the reason why I want to make sure that I'm actually this particular business I'm engaging with, or this particular payment technology company I'm engaging with, actually have humans, right, on the other side, So that could be one driver. On the other driver, and when that trust is already there, then you are able to channel them to other channels like chats, and what have you. So that is key. That is one thing. On the other hand, as well, I also want to look at the generation as well, right? So we also have more millennials, Gen Zs, using our platform. So, and there are individuals that also want to also probably be on on the phone, chatting up someone to be able to support them. So like I said earlier, I think it's all about preference for us, right? Preference for us, and getting people to going to meet our customers where they feel easy to be supported, and getting the best out of them, right? We don't want to cage our consumers into a particular channel when in fact they actually do not enjoy that channel, right? So the key is customer preference, as far as I'm concerned.
Great, thank you. I'm sure you've already made a lot of change. There's been a lot of evolution. I'm sure it's not stopping. When you think about 2025 and maybe even beyond, what are you thinking about in terms of how you're going to further evolve, improve, any initiatives you could highlight to enhance Flutterwave's customer experience strategy?
So we've had initiatives. I know there are quite a number of initiatives which we've been able to close out in 2024, looking at 2025 and some of the things that we intend to do. Pretty much, basically looking at initiative focusing on reducing our customer efforts significantly. It's something our team is big on. I'm big on, the team as well is big on. We want to be able to ensure that our customers are able to resolve their issues faster. Leveraging on AI capabilities wherever they are, right? And that is very, very important. To us as well, I think one of the things we are also focusing a lot this year is doubling down on our support automation efforts, right? So that customers' lives are a little bit easier. It's okay for things to break, and things will break, right? Either a customer does not understand a particular, how to use your product, or maybe they have an issue while using, they have a complaint while using your product, right? Whenever they reach out to you, right, you want to make their lives a little bit more easier. So also doubling down on automation efforts, so that things that customers want to do, they do it and do it pretty much easily, right? I'm just casting my back right now to a former life where I was having a conversation with one of our partners, and he said something that anything a support agent can actually just, by a click of a button, do on their laptop, on the system, anywhere, the customer also can do that, right? So why don't you make it easy for the customer to do it? Create an infrastructure that allows the customer to do that. So I think those are the kind of things that we are looking on to, and also leveraging, like I mentioned earlier, leveraging on AI as much as possible, to support the customer and also support our agents as well, so that we are able to resolve their issues faster. I think those are the key things for us in 2025, as a team.
Well, I guess just on the topic of AI, since you brought it up, those two areas of maybe the agent leveraging AI to support the customer, or the customer using AI. Do you see one of those two use cases happening faster, or sort of prioritized? Which one would you say might have a bigger impact sooner for Flutterwave?
So I think for that, right, I think we already, interesting enough, we are actually already leveraging AI for our customers already. And right, we are just ensuring that we, build that better, and, and help our customers more, so that we're able to get, to be able to get the right answers to their questions whenever they have it, they need those answers. I think what we are now, gradually moving into is that for our agents as well, so that they are able to get answers quite quickly, right, and support customers faster. So key, making our AI better for our customers, then also on the agent side, also helping them to be able to provide answers quite quickly for our customers.
So you shared a lot with us today. You have a lot of learning.
Yeah.
When you reflect on those past few years, excuse me, in your plan, could you give our audience a piece of advice? Other similar professionals that might be embarking on a journey like Flutterwave, what piece of advice would you give to our audience?
Well, the thing about, advice is it's always very interesting, right? But, if I reflect on my career journey over the years, I think one aspect I truly cherish about is, the ability to be able to make impactful decisions over the years, right? Which is something my time at Flutterwave has really provided me, the ability to be able to make decisions that, that matter, and that's one thing that my career in Flutterwave has provided me, and I really thank God for that. If there's one piece of advice I'll probably or we want to share for any professional out there is stay adaptable and continuously invest in learning, right? This industry is that another name for 100-meter dash? It's fast, right? It moves at an incredible rapid pace, right? Between the time we started this call and now, I'm quite sure there must have been some changes in the fintech industry, right? That's how fast it is and how rapidly changing it is. I think for me, it's all about ensuring that you are embracing adaptability because things keep changing. So you want to make sure you're changing as those things keep. And one of the key things that will help you to keep up with the changes is continuous learning, right? Ability to continuously learn. And the continuous learning doesn't necessarily have to be classroom learning. So it could just be, simple chats with a colleague of yours. It could be just, on your phone, you pick up, probably a message somewhere, right? And all that, right? So you want to make sure that every time you engage with something, you are learning and you are getting ready for the next bit of action that comes in the industry. Stay adaptable and continuously invest in learning. That's my piece of advice.
That is great. But as you were talking and talking about all the change, where my head was at was around back to the AI conversation. But yes, you also have the fintech space, which is, like many industries, but incredibly dynamic right now.
Yeah,
So you have two very very quickly evolving things, both in your
evolving.
functional role and then the market that you're in. So appreciate
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It's a whole lot, but we are there and we're doing quite well. So
Great. Well, congratulations on all of your successes. Really appreciate you joining us today to share Flutterwave story. Yeah, it's a super interesting company. I was just really excited to have you on just because of the way you've grown in the market, really your mission, because I love talking about and hearing about how AVOXI and Voice is helping enable companies that are doing really important things, and Flutterwave definitely fits into that category. So we really appreciate you joining us today.
thank you so much, Mike.
All right. Have a good one. Take care. Thanks.
And you too. Yeah.